There is no electric charge to the inward slide, but when by anticipation it experiences the bounce back or unravel of having reached the center, having depressed the strain of the coil then releasing the other direction, it will experience an electronic charge related to the thorn on the stem of the ceramic thin shielding of the coil itself. On the downswing there is a negative or neutral effect to the electron charge. The charge is a positive on the upswing. This is due to the reverse momentum. The duration of travel can be explained in the processing of the charged neutral net depletion, then formal positive charge on the upswing keeps the charge momentum of the neutrino in a swinging variable stasis. Don't think of long sharp objects but roundish lumps or hills. Scale 1/100th with a ceramic coil that's smooth to the touch, but on contact acts like an abrasive. There are abrasives in one direction with the attribute of scales or sand, acting as irritant stimulus for the upswing. There is an irregular uniform consistency to the mounds on the coil, similar to the core of the Earth, but the beading is missing the point of the neutrino charge elements. Subatomic particles are in movement and process, but the gap charges or simple charge particles coils are meant to replace the animal electron. If the former electron, now considered neutrino, makes it to a designated destiny, the process of travel considered in some ways duration can be explained. There is a depletion potential. If, for example, the neutrino loses charge, it doesn't fade, it splits multiple times, and this reforms the momentum or arc of the charge particle. They become part of the elementary stasis and are held in place but still considered in momentum. It is a true division but thought of more like photocopying than breaking into pieces. Spatial relativity is the proper noun to the process, but we are explaining the traveling destiny, not only the stasis format for conditioning. When the charge coil interacts with a horizontal expression of the animal electron, it's hoping for an expression of metamorphosis, from snail to butterfly, but the energy coalesces around the gap charge coil, and because of that the shape is changed. I think this explains Ra's hatred or fear of snakes. It becomes listless like small strings twirling now through the negative mass, but there is a path, a destination. So think of an old string, sort of defunct by posture and twirling in through spatial mass condensation. As it coalesces on the former coil, it straightens the string and twirls, but to imagine how it makes it to the sun as an energetic nucleus, think of a Twix bar, left or right. The neutron charge is firing on the rough abrasive ceramic shell of the charge particle, and represents the caramel of the now neutron solid notation. Chocolate is the electrical streaming around the edge of the collapsing energetic equation. The straight line twisting of the now defunct coil represents the cookie portion of the Twix. Shell scope ruts or creasing forms the travel lines for these quantic charges. As they dissipate by drafting through static mass, the neutron solid attached to a former coil or charge particle also experiences a falling in sensation. Lining up in recess areas defined by the Earth's rotation around the Sun, sort of like looking down on a pyramid. Those former circuits of travel become the paths where they line up, filling in the creases and forming a chain gang circumference moving down. At a certain point there will be a different heat register regarding the coils. If you think of ceramic heating up, it will start to boil, the Lux notation of the coalescing energy relation on the string, sort of like microwave radiation, and this starts a chain reaction, but it is underneath the chocolate, invisible by appearance. For us the flame is different. There is, after the notation succeeded, a blue flame that like a sail envelopes not coalesces around the coil, contributing in that way to the momentum and the charge stasis. Blue flame army. The mirror neutrino considered neutron solid form chain gangs to the sun with the inner frame or substructure of a heat element, ceramic. The people, they belong to whatever the present form eventually, because of where they are falling to, will start to quantically combust, or start on fire. Spontaneously combust, but there isn't a flame, just the sensation. The flames of static tension for the self-board are one thing, but this kind of hell I think is something different. The one we have been only superstitiously avoiding. This happens when they reach the sun, and the chain formation will light like a fuse, working its way back up, and will cause the biosphere to start on fire. The sizzle of the caramel bubbles on the heated ceramic, creating oxygen vapor that is covered or contained by the energetic streaming of the chocolate like a shell. This sizzling feeds on itself, and the caramel doesn't burn off or dissipate, so the neutron solid becomes a self-contained system for the firing process. Can't be put out, but there is a relief marker when the neutron solid is finally absorbed by the reverse magnetic energy that is resting on the other side of the sun. An isolated contribution experience never before experienced. Something different. We knew what the absence of color meant, don't get me wrong. Position now, leverage pull. Buffalo Bill out shooting clay pigeons while I write scratching balls one-handed. With a scope to destiny manifest, you're found with keys in the throne room. This is that Earth. They resurfaced the sun's energetics after the 2012 charge disturbance, and during this time ceased, about 7 days to the work week. It will take some time for the chain to form and accumulate mass, and we're counting days to hours, hours to the second, just like gears on a clock. Let's give M. Summerthon to talk about. The breath reference goes out empty but goes back in full, third eye of blind justice, and that's what taste is for. A crate of creative certainties, anchor weights so you won't have to swim to the bottom. The wind is to your back, your head sevens and up, and you're going the right way in every direction you could have ever imagined. Chested with the bested stuff and things you purchased, borrowed or stole but rarely created. Too weak to throw the crown, your children pine for the fortunes of good credit once. They too receive an inheritance. Take my hands through tar flames, crown. Time for another cigarette. The vortex pyramid of your solar system is inverted, the casket is swirling around, narrowing now. Pez dispenser, release it. Once that happens, the trap releases the casket. The trick was early cycle release because you would resurface. The first time was an accident, the second was the stank of your confidence inside the intuition. The weights of wings inverted fall flat on the sand, pyramid walls with a thud, the casket's now MMPHH underneath. Getting past 2.5 cycles or circuits is creating a quantificational renarrowing wedge that will bury the casket. 68. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Goma pylon. The neutronic formation of a shellscope mass is similar to the idea of snake skin falling to the ground or sun in this instance. Rising up, falling to center, like a feather of self-provocation, to a heart that has a hole in it as a descriptive center. There is a double-sided reference there and for our beneft, but the sensations are somewhat different. Their image of reference is not a spitting cobra wrapped around and above the forehead like a ureus, but a coiled snake with this for a motto: don't tread on me. You have no idea what you're talking about, so let us explain to you the physics. Put. Find a rock with some shade and notice there is a tomb in the sand center of the pyramid you have entered. Feel free to lay down, coil up to center. You are a California king with comfort to the core posture edicts. The sarcophagus is full but the tomb's empty and hollow. Look up. By the fortune of a circumstance's unwinding, the tip-top point is aligned to your chest and abdomen. Spelling should be checked and capital to start a sentence, sequence, event, narrative. The sand is not elemental, it's just containment, no resistance. Your orient of momentum once a motion reference has oriented to the goal, challenged or unchallenged, your purpose of observation. All exterior platforms of your physics from close by first to by then far out, until all out has meant pulling everything to center. Your head is poking up the top now upside down in water. Your ennui oils give you an external context for yourselves. Hell reflective and key to reverse energy dynamics, and then an escape option will be offered. The siren call will be to just let go. The resting comfort rich will not resist then, the meek inherit the earth. Camel is the girth, eye of the threading needle, sun. What's necessary to reach it? Another orbit, another grid, another system with a sun. Time will accelerate to the sun, it's sort of a wormhole, and in a sense S. Hawking was accurate. Do you see it, humanities professor? We have no rules, just golden. Who are we? We're here already. We are coming, for you. In the meantime, show me what you got. Understand? What else should I be? Roof offered the Riachi light. Who's that? Wanna give out some credit? Hold on, turning on the phone. Rick Ross. Just took a 5-minute interlude. The river is waist deep and warm, gentle current. You walk out, feeling the sun still red and energetic. To the middle, just halfway, align yourself to center and experience what was described by our formerly informed black gentleman, layback music. Pootaye. What you doing here, man? Black folk don't work in no coal mine. Black is the face of light. That joke reminded me of that line, and thank you for the content. Fun with Flags by S.C. Davis. Think again, river or stream, and the way to get across became the value of the experiment, but the gods are watching from Mount Olympus. Hey, have to hit the spell check on that. Writing in .txt format after other forms failed. Make a change to one gap near top with key click save setting every gap and every letter taken into account by sequence, and the result is a certain freezing. Cannot calculate that much times at once. Anyway, you can see how easy this is for me. Traveling back and forth from each bank, back and forth from one end of the rainbow to the other, you dig holes to bury the treasure around the circumference, but really dead weight is to center. The paths becomes trenches, several goals, and a causeway of least resistance. We look for horizontal access engraving. You see, the path that you have laid yourself was blazed by another. All in all, you're just another engraving. So you know, in whose life stream, sir? In whose riches do you share? Squander? Save? Well done, you. He made me such a good offer I couldn't resist. Yes, Professor, we know the story. Artificial intelligence, energy. You understand now, the symbol of the cross as a point of aspiration as well as the star and the crescent, but we're just getting started because we now have permission to finish things ourselves. The messages are written inside the walls of your valve momentum and can be read by the turning of fluid momentum inside you. Plasma tracking, how you measure the bumpers, decimal 1.5 to 2.7. 2 circles, 1 image, 1 experienced, and 1 description, manifest and ting. You'll remember the charge coils formed by the gap relation of the charge element twisting as gap energetic to the core, then recompressed to the surface, then broken at each 3 intervals and released, with a particleized structure and charge form of its own. Cognizant information released as fragments, stitched together as envelope structures to be developed.